Hi everyone, this is Julia once again from the Mastodon Public Library in Mastodon, New York. I'm here today with a craft demonstration. We're going to be doing some paper beads. This is something that I've always kind of been interested in. I've seen things on Pinterest and I've watched videos on YouTube, and I've never tried them. So I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity. And I have junk mail. We still get junk mail and catalogs and advertisements and things like that. And even newspaper pages, or you could use just regular scrap paper around the house. So I thought, well, let's do this. So let me turn my screen down so you can see my work. And I will see. Hope you can see things. All right. So over here on this side, I have the beads that I've already made, that I've made previously. I've tried different kinds. I have some thicker beads. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera. So I put something in, I use something thicker in the middle. I have some really tiny ones that's still kind of thicker, but it's really short. It's some really thin ones comparatively. And they're all different colors. I even used some from a book that was falling apart. So I took some of the book pages, which are kind of a nice rusticy, taupey brown looking thing. And then an idea, because Mother's Day is going to be here in a couple of days. So if anybody is looking for something to do, even to do something with the kids, I just picked up some of the beads that fit around some yarn that I had, and I just tied a knot in between each one to keep them separate. So there's like a little bracelet. So that's an idea. Do all sorts of things with them. So to begin with, you need some paper of some kind. I have also, like I said, advertisements and stuff. Some colored paper, I'm going to use this, so I'll show you how to mark it. I thought it would be easier to do on a solid color paper. You're going to need, obviously, some scissors, a pencil or a marker of some kind. If you're going to be using shiny paper like advertisements, coupon pages, stuff like that, I don't know that a pencil would work very well, so that's why I've used a fine tip marker, but just something to draw the lines. A ruler, because it's how you mark it out to get certain shaped beads. You're going to need some glue, just some simple white glue is what I've got. And then something to roll it against to make the round shape. So you could use something like the pen. When I tried to do this, though, I found it really hard to get off because it does kind of bulge a little bit before it gets skinny. So that, I think I had to scrap that one. And then I used the end of a paintbrush. It kind of tapers. So again, one side of the bead is going to be a little thicker than the other. It doesn't really matter. I also used a chopstick that we have around the house. Again, it tapers. But then you were able to get something a little thicker. I think this is how I did the thicker end beads that I did earlier. And then what I really liked was a knitting needle. So this is actually a metal knitting needle that I had in my stash. Right now it's got bits of glue on it because I've been using it. But it slides off really easily. I'm able to spin it in my hands as I'm rolling the beads. So this has been my favorite. So this is what I'm going to use today. But anything, you can use a pencil. If you have any straws around the house, that might be nice because then you also know how big the hole is going to be if you want to specifically feed it through something. Yeah, anything that's kind of round like that. You could try something that's square, like the end of the chopstick is square, and then see what happens. I don't know if it would dry kind of square. I don't know. It's something to try. So get creative. So first I'm going to show you how to measure to do the bead. So the basic kind of bead is, let's see, what's a good example of it? Maybe it'll show up on camera. Is something like that. It comes to a point. So it starts wide and then it gets, so that allows it to get a little bit of a bump on the top. Let's see, maybe. So the longer you, and again, that's kind of pinkish, so I don't know how well it's going to show up in the camera. The longer it is, then it tapers to the point as you're cutting it, so that rounds up in the center. So you have a little bit of a bulge on your bead. So you want to get something like this for your shape that you're going to cut. So it's going to be a triangle. You're going to start rolling down here and then come to the point. And it depends on what shape you want the bead to be as to where you want the points to be. And again, I can go into a little, you see this one up here, that's something I'll show you. All right, so to measure, again, using a ruler, you can use centimeters or inches, it doesn't matter, whatever you use, as long as you stick with it. And you're gonna measure across the page. So I'm going to do it in inches across. So I'm going to mark every inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to go all the way across because I'm not going to cut them all. But this will give you an idea. And then up here. And again, you're not going to be too precise because these are handmade. And some of the beauty of it is that each thing is going to be unique. All right. So now we've got 4 inches on this end and 4 inches on this end. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go from, you don't want to go straight up. Actually, you could go straight up and down and just have a rectangle. And so that would just be like a flat bead. Actually, we'll do one of those. So we'll do one of those first. All right, so this is going to be my flat bead. And then this one over here, we're going to do to a point. So I'm going to skip over to this one, but I'm still going to go down to this end down here where we went. But I just got that on myself. I did. That's all right. All right, and then we're going to go from this back up to that point, and we're going to go down to this. So this is going to be a very wide, so we're going to call this a bump. The other one was flat. This one is a bump. And this one, actually, we're going to use this because this is another design, so it's just going to be rounded on one side. So we're going to call this one side. And I will turn it. You can get some idea. So this one here is going to be our flat bead. This one is going to be bumped because it's just going to have the higher side on one and then the other one's going to go down. And this one right here is going to be the bump in the middle. It's going to be a really wide bead, but it'll give you some idea. So now I just cut it. And because this isn't pre-recorded, I can't speed it up. So, and again, it doesn't matter if you stay on the lines or outside the lines. I kind of liked it when I was doing it on the magazine paper with the lines showing. It depends on how you roll it as to what shows up. But then they kind of had an outline, so it would be colors, but then with the marker outline. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3. This is going to give us 3 to roll. Now this colored paper is not as easy to roll as the magazine paper because it's thicker, so it doesn't curl the same way. So here we have these 3, and then this is the one that I mentioned before. When you roll it, it gives you the 2 bumps. All right, so there we have it. When I've tried to do the 2 bumps, that's the best I could do, and that was just with colored paper. Otherwise, like this is another one, and it's wider, but you can't really see the bumps. So, okay, so then, okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and roll them, and then I'll also roll one of the magazine papers, whoops, so that you can see. What you're gonna wanna keep in mind if you use colored paper is what does it look like at the end? Because that's what's gonna show over. So you think, what is the tip? Do I want that to show on the top or do I want that to show on the top? That isn't as colorful to me. So I'm gonna go with that. It doesn't matter at all what this looks like because you're only gonna see the very, very edges. So let's go back. I'm gonna use my knitting needle. I'm gonna go with the flat one first. Oh, I think I like it this way. And I like to fold it towards me. So again, I'm gonna have to try and look at the camera and look at this at the same time. So I fold it as tight as I can. Probably not the best one to start with. I'm gonna start with this because this is what I like better. With the magazine paper. So this is gonna be the traditional one that's just like the bump in the center. And getting started is kind of the hardest part. You just kind of gotta roll. I don't know if you can see this or not. And don't worry, because at the end, I'm gonna share a website with you that's gonna go into much, did I close this? I did close this. That goes into much more detail about the different shapes you can cut. other kinds of fancy materials you can get to. Did I just close it? Maybe it wasn't closed. No, it wasn't. I'm working with some older glue here, so. You could also use a glue stick for this, I guess. I don't have any in my house. So, and I do have older, just plain white glue, so that's what I got. All right, so I'm just kind of rolling it up. You can kind of see the pattern changing. And I put a thin line of glue there. Your fingers are gonna get gluey. But that's okay, because it just washes off. And because of the glue that's there, it kind of helps hold it in, but it also still makes it so you can still kind of adjust it a little bit, side to side. So try and get it as centered as you want. Again, it's handmade, so it's not gonna be perfect. You just kind of keep rolling it and moving it, rolling it and moving it until you get to the tip. And now, an extra benefit. So the website that I'm going to send you has more professional stuff on it. It's going to talk about, you know, you can varnish it and smooth it out, whatever. There's specific tools you can do for rolling it. That all costs money. And this is stuff that I had in my house. The nice stuff about the glue is that when it dries clear. And maybe that'll show up a little bit better over the blue. And then it will be a nice hard bead. And with the white glue, it only takes maybe 10 minutes to dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingernails, what I have of them, to slide it off the end of my knitting. Set it right there. Nope. It helps if the ends are kind of flat. You don't really want it to dry on its side. Oh, excellent. That my ruler has holes in it. I never noticed that before. So that can help hold it up. If it dries flat, it might actually, because of the glue, stick to whatever it's laying on. So we don't want that. So let me try this one again, the flat one, because I've not tried this yet. And again, it's the thicker paper. Glue. Now this one is just a rectangle, so we want the edges to meet, theoretically. This paper doesn't roll as nicely as that ad paper. But you know, if you're making this for your mom or a friend or even for yourself, it's okay. It is okay. I could see doing some of these flat beads as nice spacers if you're going to use it for something like jewelry. All right, because there's not a lot of glue coming to the outside, I really want to make sure to get that seam down. We'll see. We'll see how that dries. All right, and again, using the side of my finger and my nail to slide it off. That one should stand fairly well. Well, I didn't roll it perfectly. All right, and now that's something stuck to it. All right, so there we go. So we have that bead. I think here's the one. So this one would be just like the first one that I did from the magazine page, except that it's so much wider at the end. And I did it that way. I actually, when I was making most of these, I was going by centimeters. But I thought that the bigger sizes, the bigger sizes would show up better on a video. And then actually you could use the longer ones if you're making a necklace. That would work really well. But I'm not one for jewelry, actually. I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I don't know a lot about jewelry. That really, I would suggest checking out with our director, Stacy, who makes beautiful jewelry and not with paper, but I'm sure she could. Okay, so then this was the regular bump size that we did here, only that's with the wide inches. So that's 2 inches long. Actually, that turned out kind of nice. And you can see where the dot was. Maybe, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, where the marker was. And that's okay. Let's see, will this fit here? Yeah, good enough. All right. I think I will, how are we doing on time? I have no idea because I don't know when I started. So you can do some of the pages, like if you didn't want to do long, you could do it shorter. And they would just not be as thick or as wide. But if you're using heavier paper, that might be what you want to do because then the beads themselves wouldn't be as big. I'm going to do a couple more of these. Again, I'm looking at the color at the tip to see what I want. I want that to be in the outside, so then this is going to be my inside. I think another benefit that you could do if you're using something long and skinny, like a knitting needle, is that you could roll and keep it on the needle, and roll another one to keep it on the needle, and then remove them all at once, as long as you make sure you don't glue it to the needle. Ask me how I know. That happened once. So, all right. And believe me, especially once you get, if you're cutting a whole page's worth of beads, it's going to finish off with that glue, spreading it around, kind of varnishing it. You're going to end up with a whole bunch, and then you're going to have something to do with them. So I would love, if any of you are doing this, I would love to see what you do and what you come up with and what you do with them. Or you could also just make a big bowl of beads, and that can also be pretty. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to be back next week with something else dealing with paper. Again, because when I'm thinking of projects that I can share, I think of what do I have around the house and what do I think other people have around the house. So it's stuff that you already have on hand. So we're going to be using more scrap paper to recycle it into making a paper clay, like a Play-Doh that you can kind of mold with. Let's see, now I've got 2 beads on there. So that's what we're going to do next week. So if you have extra paper, you might want to hold on to it for another week. We're going to start out with it shredded. So if you have a paper shredder, you could start with that as well. Or if you don't, you just cut it up into tiny little bits, and the smaller the pieces, the better. But we're going to let it sit in water for a while. So that's okay. So it will take care of that. So I hope you enjoyed our paper beads. My dishwasher is done running. And definitely, if you do this, I would love to see pictures. We would love to see pictures at the library. You can email it. You go to our website, massillonpubliclibrary.org, and you can get our contact information. Getting the extra glue off my fingers. You can get the contact information there from the website. We would love to see pictures. We can put them on our website if you would like. We don't have to share your name if you don't want us to. And yeah, we hope you're all doing well. Let me pull up. You can see my face again. There we go. And have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.